Alright, today I'm going to be tying what they call a candy stonefly. Starting off on a continuous bend size 10 hook. This is size 6 purple uni-thread. And we're going to go pretty far down this shank here to start. The reason I got it angled like this to start is to put on these Goose biots for the tail. I like to have it angled. It just gives me a better look at how, if I can get the Goose biot in my hand, of how I want that angled. One on each side. Now I'm going to turn that back up now. So there's a couple different ways you can tie this too. The traditional way is done with wire for the back end and a bead head for the top, but the way I'm doing it is the cheaper way. So next I'm going to tie in a little bit of, this is uni-floss 1-ply purple, and I'm going to use that for the bottom end. And the reason I'm using the uni-floss is when I wrap it, it just stands out a little better than the regular uni-thread. I'll just wrap that around. It wraps pretty good too. It's nice and easy, wraps good, and like I said, it just stands out a little better. And you just tie that off and trim that up. And then instead of the Chartreuse bead head, I'm going to tie it the same way I do my Chartreuse egg patterns, which if you haven't seen that, go watch that video. This is just small Chartreuse chenille. Bring that around back, and then we're just going to wrap this a couple times. You don't need much. You don't need much of that, just a little bit will do, and then just tie that off. Cut off that tag end, tie that in. Alright, we're going to get some wings on this. So these are going to be some black rubber legs. You can use Goose biots here too. Either one works. I like the way for this particular stonefly how the rubber legs look. So we'll tie in some black rubber legs, and I cut them a little longer. It's just easier to tie them when they're a little longer. These things can be a pain to tie in sometimes though. It's the only bad part about them. They like to flop over and do all sorts of stuff like that. So you kind of got to play with them until you get them where you want it. Once we tie the body and stuff in too, it'll help keep them in place. Alright. grab a little bit of, this is golden brown ice dub. You don't need too much of that. That will do. I'm tying in a little piece. This is black straw. I'm going to finish this off with a little bit of turkey quill also. Then you pull that straw over the top. We'll tie that in right behind the head. That just kind of gives it like a little bit of a shell look of a nymph. And trim that up. And we're going to do a bunch of trimming on this at the end here too. So we'll tie that in. Gonna whip finish it a couple times. It's always better to cut these a little bit at a time if you have to. That way, if you cut them a little too long, you can always just trim in little increments. If you cut them too much too fast, then you kind of got to start over. So, because we don't want to do that. Same thing goes for anything you're trimming up. Even this turkey quill here a little bit. Just gonna trim that. That side looks pretty good. And that's it. That's a candy stonefly. This fly's been really good. I've been doing really well on it. A good friend of mine kind of turned me onto this fly, and I've caught a bunch of steelhead on it. So that is the candy stonefly with a chartreuse head.